Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this great big universe. My name is Helena, and thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of Love Unlocked, where we decode the mysteries of the universe. So before we get started, I'd like to let you know that today's video is for informational and educational purposes only. Please be polite in the comments, no matter what, because the sign of an open mind is also the sign of enlightenment. So today we have a very special guest, back by popular demand, Cynthia, curator of the Three Waves of Volunteers, TFJ Space, here to discuss with us the collective consciousness, frequency, and vibration. So let's go ahead and say hello to Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for joining us again.
How are you?
I'm fine. You look amazing. I love that scarf too.
A smush face, but I'm still here.
Cynthia had a fall recently, and there's a little bit of an interesting story behind that. The poor thing, she fell while she was trying to take a walk. Did you want to share that with the viewers?
I would love to share that with the viewers. This last week, November 8th, and the heating in my car was not working. So I had dropped it off the night before at the mechanic, excuse me. And he called me the next day to say, there's nothing wrong with your car. And I became infuriated and thought, invisible forces were messing with my car, namely my husband. And I decided to walk to blow off some steam. And during that walk, I fell on my face. I just fell flat on my face.
It was a terrible fall too.
It was. I'm still bruised. I still have a black eye, but it's a lot better than last week. I'm thankful for that. I'm getting up off the ground saying, what's positive about this? Okay, I still have my teeth. I still have this. I still have that. I can walk. I went into a local store and said, would you just give me a face cloth? And they were all like, oh my God. And I said, I don't even know what I look like, but I guess I'm here to see you. And, so I kind of made fun with that. And then eventually went to see my mechanic. And, I was like, there's nothing wrong with my car. And he said, no, there's nothing wrong with your car. So I said, let me ask you this. I said, do you believe in haunted cars? And he said, well, do I believe in the afterlife? And I said, that's the question I was getting to. So, but I was tiptoeing. And he said, well, yeah, I believe in the afterlife. And he looked at me and he said, why, do you think your husband's riding shotgun in your car? Soul walking. And I said, yes. I said, I do believe that, but I had to just skate back past that because turns out that his father died. And his father had a message for him that he was indeed staying in with him in his home. So, yeah, after a smushed face, that's what I learned. That's what I was there for. And all I needed to do was listen to my husband and get a ride to there and back.
Cynthia, our Cynthia, and you know her from Quora. She's one of the more beloved writers on the subject of spirituality. And Cynthia doesn't come alone. She brings with her her twin flame in spirit. Actually, she prefers the term mirrored souls. Her mirror soul, Joe, is her counterpart. And she is a medium.
Not playing with the lights.
No, and as a matter of fact, I did set up that ring light again. Give it to you. I said,
That's
okay,
right.
but here's the ring light. It's on. Before I started, I had a little conversation with him. I said, do not mess with my light. Do not, let me go ahead and put it on. So it looks like it's
Well, he
working
will
out
respect.
okay. Oh, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
It did it for a second. So yes. Cynthia is a medium magnet and what I call kind of a channel. She kind of channels in other people's messages that are meant for them, which I find fascinating. And she seems to be guided wherever she needs to go. She's there and ends up, I refer to it almost like the Long Island medium. Wherever she is, she seems to just, people gravitate to her, and she ends up delivering a message to them that they needed to hear at that time. Which brings me to a quick disclaimer I'd like to go ahead and give before we start. I wrote it out, so my auxiliary camera's up here and my vision where Cynthia is down here. So if you see me looking around, that's the reason why. So the medical disclaimer is, please remember that the information conveyed in this or any of our videos is for informational and educational purposes only and is not to be taken as licensed medical or mental health advice of any kind. If you're experiencing any uncomfortable symptoms, please do seek professional medical assistance. That's it. Okay.
That is encouraged. Yeah. But
Yeah.
people are experiencing some funky sensations right now. And these are due to this frequency shifts, which can be misinterpreted as and diagnosed as, for instance, one person said, I have fibromyalgia, of trauma, the body's manifestation due to trauma, and you get aches and pains and all kinds of things that just kind of falls under the umbrella of fibromyalgia. But this is since his Kundalini awakening, and he's getting electrical surges in his body.
Oh my.
He's got, yeah, and I've been getting them for 3 years, so it's just like par for the course. And it's because the energy and vibration of our molecular structure is being changed. So if anybody's getting sensations, Dr. Feelgood, if you're listening to this, he thought he had neuropathy in his feet due to COVID, and that was not it. And it could be a possibility. I'm not going to rule out that, but we've both been getting the same symptoms at the same times, because we'll do a check-in. Are you getting a tune-up today? Yes, and because it's usually in our group. So those feelings are that of a TENS unit, which you are very familiar with. And it feels like electrical stimulation going up your legs, starting from the feet. And that can gradually go out through your crown. I've got a lot of reports of that too. So it's like almost like sticking your finger in a light socket, but you haven't done that. And you're thinking, where'd that come from? So that's been my research for 3 years.
Yeah.
Why?
And a lot of times people will mention that to me, they're experiencing this. And so, of course, because I'm a relationship coach, the first thing I say is go see a doctor. That kind of thing would be theoretically above my pay grade, so to speak. If you're experiencing strange sensations in your body, something that you don't understand, weird, whether it feels like an electric shock or feels like neuropathy, maybe definitely see a doctor. That's what I always tell people. But you're saying that it could be something different. It could be related to energy shifts. Could you tell us what is an energy shift, the frequencies? What is this? Because I think a lot of people might not have heard about it.
A lot of people haven't heard about it. It actually surprises me within the twin flame community. But I think because I met my mirrored soul, twin flame, whatever you want to call them, I wanted to know why. I said, why is this person who is me walking around in another body? Why is this happening? Because we've forgotten. And that just led me from one step to the other, which eventually led me to Dolores Cannon's work, where non-physical and physical will be working together and to help with the energy shift, the frequency shifts. And we've been shifting from third dimension since about 2003. And unfortunately, Dolores Cannon published the 3 Waves of Volunteers, and it was published in 2011. She passed away in 2014. But now she's spreading her message through any medium that will listen. So she said she's a little bit off on her dates, but told me personally that what's going on now, as far as the world is concerned, we're at a critical point in our times where the earth is going to shift from, we're already in different frequency now. The way we know that is how we feel. If you have tinnitus, if you have these electrical sensations, this is the vibration of your body that is adjusting to 5D frequency. Can't see it, but I think you got a glimpse of it. Would you like to share?
Oh, the tinnitus that I experienced? Which?
The dream that you had.
The what?
The dream that you had.
Oh, It was
About,
like a nightmare. Yeah,
well, the one that you had that you could see people, but they couldn't, is that a nightmare?
it was pretty
Because
much a nightmare because and I
it's,
remember waking up from it and thinking, what was that? It was a terrible dream. I was in a place that was mostly made out of old stones. I could see large buildings in front of me, and we were in a large building, almost like on a terrace of a large building, and everything was made of stone. There was a reporter, and I don't know why I would dream about a reporter talking, but there was a reporter talking right in front of me. And I remember seeing her very clearly. She had short, dark hair. There was a cameraman over here. She was here. I was standing between them. And I was waving my hands like, hey, can you see me? Do you notice what's going on? What is going on? And she just kept talking like she didn't even notice me. And in the distance, I saw what looked like two tails of fire shooting upward toward the sky. And I turned around and there was my family in the dream. And I remember in the dream, my husband says, we have about 20 minutes to get in. We will be okay. And it was big double glass doors. All of our children were there. And even if we were to go on a trip to a strange place where there were stones, I'm pretty sure our children probably wouldn't be able to come. So everybody was filing in, and I remember noticing each child and thinking, okay, everybody's here, everybody's here. And then we go in, and I noticed steps, and I don't know if we went up or down the steps because I turned around and I saw those missiles and the smoke that went behind them. So, and I told Cynthia about the nightmare, and I thought, man, that was terrible. And then shortly after that, I would say about maybe a week, 2 weeks, I guess, after that, it broke out on the news that there was a war in Israel. So when I was going through the news on YouTube, I found a video, and it was literally my dream, just in a video. You could see
oh,
the ICBMs. Is that what they're called? Or ICBMs? What are they called?
it could be, yeah. I'm not that familiar with the technology because I've been too busy in other areas, but what I'm more focused on is your dreams because they're premonitions. I know another person that we speak with, and that's Dr. Feelgood. He has had the same one. So you're
It's
not alone.
terrifying. And I was so relieved that I think they were just missiles that I was seeing, because I can't imagine an ICBM, that would be a much bigger thing. But I remember telling Cynthia my nightmare and being almost glad that I told her before it happened, because I would have sounded crazy if I just said, oh, I dreamed that before it happened. Let me tell you all about it. Sorry.
Yeah. So you had texted me that dream, and I was traveling. And I looked at it and I said, well, I was in South Carolina on my way to Florida. I said, we'll pick on that,
The video's choppy.
attention to your dreams. And I got back on and I hit Orlando. Yeah, technology.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no other devices hooked up other than this one.
Mm.
But I hit Orlando, and I with a friend who is very intuitive. And she looked at me and she said, she confirmed exactly what your dream was. And she said, well, minus what you saw, what she confirmed was the war had just started. And I said, oh, Helena just had a dream of this. Let me get back to her. So I was still trying to balance myself and say what you saw and what she had just told me. So I just meet people that like you and other people just
Cynthia, the video's chopping in and out.
Say dream pet.
The video's chopping in and out, and I'm not sure the viewers just
Okay.
heard what you said. Can you repeat that? The last 30 seconds or so? Sorry.
Okay, about the people that I run into that can basically confirm a yes, the people that I run into on my daily path. say you have a dream, somebody else will confirm that dream as reality. And it catches me off guard, but it has been proven to be a theme. And who's been the background person for all of this is my guy.
Her twin
Everybody's been
spirit.
introduced to him. So my twin in spirit, yeah.
Yeah.
So this has been
Cynthia is guided to where she needs to go, and she feels like it's Joe, her twin in spirit, her mirror soul in spirit, who is guiding her to go where she needs to go. For example, she confirmed my dream, my nightmare, and then she confirmed the message to the person that after she fell flat on her face, which was a terrible thing, she was able, though, anyway, to confirm something for someone who needed to have a certain message. And she's like a medium magnet who downloads information. And that goes back to what we were talking about before, the collective consciousness. We're all interconnected. Right. Our minds are all energy. Our thoughts are all sort of interconnected. So that takes me to a question about frequency. How do different frequencies differ? And if you feel like, if one of the viewers has a dream or a premonition, if you guys have had any dreams that have come true like that, I call them premonition dreams, put your answer down in the comments. Let us know. Have you had that happen to you? Have you had a premonition, whether it was a thought or a dream, a feeling, a deja vu, something that you felt? Put it, and it's happened, put it down in the comments. How do the frequencies differ? How would somebody even know that they're going through a premonition versus just a thought that may happen by coincidence?
Usually it's validation from another person.
Okay.
Like, for example, when you had alerted me, even though I was in the midst of doing whatever I was doing, I ran into somebody else who confirmed it. And it's a kind of like playing, for us, it's like playing football, you know, I'm the quarterback, you're the receiver, and Helena's going to throw this ball today, and my friend Sofan, she's going to catch it, and then she's going to relay that message to you. And that's how we work. So there's always a person to give that information to me. And I will run into a person who's going to validate. And this is how we're all interconnected. As I call it our soul group. We just don't even know who our soul group is. They just grow. And this is how you and I actually came together. And usually it's Joe who's the commonality. You know, I'm the one flashing the lights. It's me. And my friend in Florida, her name is Safan. She was the first one to ever see him after he passed away. So she's the one that will send me messages from Dolores Cannon even. And she'll say, why am I sending these messages? I said, because somebody's knocking on your door. So some people receive messages like you in your dream state. Some people receive messages during the waking state, another person that we're working with. And she'll say, I've never met Dolores Cannon, but I just saw her in my head. Why am I seeing her in my head? And I laugh. I said, because you're talking to me. And not that I'm bragging. Please don't even think that, because I'm more complaining than bragging. And she'll give me a message from her. So that's just one person. Do you have anything else about that? We could go on and on for this conversation.
Yeah, another question about that is, how do frequencies impact our perceptions? Might we experience something emotionally or even physically when Absolutely. Yeah, what happens when the frequencies change?
As they shift, because they're in a constant flux, we don't know it on a physical level, we don't realize it mentally, but this is what I've been studying. Like last week when I became infuriated, I spoke with another person who became infuriated that very day. And I said, how are you feeling? And she said,
not to interrupt anybody, but guess what went out? This will be battery number 3. And, you know, I'm thinking about like getting like another light, asking for another light.
play with that too. And just to let you know, for FYI, he left the building after our call the last time. He was with you for the whole thing.
Oh my
And
gosh. That makes sense
yes,
with the
made the video about the light working. He came
Yeah,
back to
guys,
me.
go back and watch our previous videos featuring Cynthia. You will see some pretty interesting light action. You know, I'm pretty skeptical. I'm a cautious skeptic when it comes to stuff like that. I
Was
I was very surprised. And when I saw the lights acting up, at first I didn't believe it, to be honest. I thought that it's just a coincidence. But then every single time she's on the show, something else happens. This is not a sponsored video, and I'm not mad.
Oh, it's not a
right?
video either. We're gonna have his picture up. I'll have to move my head, but yeah, he's the man behind all the entertainment, and that's what his message has always been: is to have fun, and everything's going to be okay despite what we're dreaming. These frequency shifts also have an impact on our.
So when
my
your
advice to a
your
lot of the
video
people
just
that
froze,
I deal with, or we deal with, journal them.
okay, because your video just froze. Your
I
video keeps freezing. So if somebody's behind that, stop doing
Oh, I
that.
won't move. I won't move.
I don't
That
think
could
it's
be
your fault. I think it's just maybe the powers that be, we're talking about video frequency. I don't know. But it is strange. It's like only when Cynthia's here, strange things seem to happen. So does frequency affect our behavior? Can people become really, really nice, really, really happy, or conversely, reverse that, and can people become a complete jerk?
irritated. Yeah, they can be very irritated very quickly. I'll compare it to having almost like seasonal depression. But during these frequency shifts, a lot of people are noticing more depression, more anxiety. Therefore, they're reacting. And, say we have a website that we're writing on, and someone might react to a certain statement, and you're surprised that they're reacting in such a way. If we can go back and look at, I'm not even talking about religious books, I'm just talking about the book I talk about in the 3 Waves of Volunteers. Irritability is one of the symptoms of frequency shifts. And we need to be mindful of that when we're interacting with each other, including myself. Because I said, oh, wait a minute, why am I reacting? I have nothing to react or respond negatively to. So just keep in mind that if you're feeling the squeeze, because a lot of us are, we're feeling the squeeze on our heads. These are the frequency shifts. You can't see the energies, but they're there. So if you experience tinnitus, with me, it's been tinnitus for 3 years. Most recently, it feels like I'm at 30,000 feet, and it is uncomfortable.
Like an
So there might be
airplane.
other viewers. Oh, yeah. And actually, last year, my ears were bleeding because of what I was going through. And there was nothing wrong with me. I was at the I did visit the doctor. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah,
It's
I
just
want to
pressure.
make that. I want to make that other extra reminder to the viewers. If you're experiencing anything strange, if something happens, if you're feeling strange sensations, please do rule out any potential medical issues. Always see your doctor or someone you trust to weed that out and make sure that there's nothing medical going on. Go see a doctor, your nurse, your primary care, your dentist if it's a tooth thing, whatever you need to do. So Cynthia has experienced firsthand a lot of these vibrational shifts. She's experienced it in her body, in her demeanor, interacting with other people. And one thing that Cynthia and I have noticed is that it can come out, without calling anybody out, it can come out on just people's writing, people's speech, whether you're sitting around with your boss and having a conversation, or maybe you're writing on open forum. It can happen. And so, Cynthia, do you have any advice for the viewers on how to handle if somebody is very combative and there's an energy shift? is there anything that we can do, trying to be nice and kind to other people? Is there anything that we can do to prevent that sort of spiraling of anger and negativity that can occur with something like that?
Yeah, we can prevent it by doing an emotional check-in, actually. I do this most of the time, but a lot of times I have to catch myself. I'm not perfect. How am I feeling if I'm reading, say, a post that somebody created and I've suddenly become infuriated? You have to ask yourself why. And is there something wrong in my life going on? And with me, no. Um, but if you're feeling combative, it's much better to have an open dialogue, such as you and I are having right now, rather than type anything, because anything that we type, it can be misinterpreted depending on where we live in the world, how we're feeling on that specific day. Some women are still having PMS. So, I mean, we've got a host of things to consider. So it's better, and I've suggested this with other people, call me and we can talk about it. Because this way we've got inflection in the voice. I can ask questions to say, you having a bad day? And if they are, call me tomorrow. And, and maybe we'll both feel better. This way we respond rather than react.
That is good advice. That is excellent advice. Yeah, because one of the descriptions, well, the description of passive aggression is conveying your feelings in a breadcrumbing type of way. So writing out something mean to somebody, kind of talking about them behind their back, throwing shade, throwing hate, that is a passive aggressive behavior, and that's not healthy, at least in my opinion. So the healthier thing would be, if you're feeling triggered, you're feeling upset, talk about it. Think about your feelings. Feel how you feel. It's okay to feel your feelings, but talk about it. Communicate with the person and let them know how you're feeling on a phone call or in an email, not in a way where it's upsetting and just offensive to others too.
Now can be a little
Yeah, it can be difficult.
Yeah, and I'm noticing this across the board. Thankfully, I've got friends that will contact me and say, I am feeling this way today. For instance, this morning, my girlfriend said I am having dizziness. She's very sensitive to spirit. So people who are sensitive to spirit, who are mediums, even the ones like me that are running away from it, they're going to have the ringing in the ears. They might experience dizziness, irritability. And some people know I've got to isolate myself today because I'm going to be toxic to the environment. So it's better to either, there's a saying my mother used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But we need to kind of check in with ourselves to see, am I going to be reactionary or am I going to be responding today? And sometimes I catch myself midway, so I'm not without sin, as they would say.
I think that Cynthia is actually one of the kindest souls I've ever met, and she donates so much of her time just to people, just to be a good friend and be an ear and be a listener and be supportive to so many people. And that is commendable. And I have to tell you, she has just given you some pearls of wisdom. If you're feeling stressed, if you're upset, check in with yourself, take time, take a walk, spend some time doing a hobby, check in with yourself.
Absolutely. I have to do it. And like I said, sometimes it's a little late. So
I have to do the same thing. You are not alone. I'm always doing self-checks, and I probably don't do them enough. I think that we're all kind of guilty of that at some point. At some point in time, we all, have to just take some time to ourselves and really give some conscious thought to how we feel and how we want to respond to something.
absolutely.
So that's about our time. And I wanted to thank you guys so much for tuning in for another episode of Love Unlocked, where we decode the mysteries of the universe. And I'd like to thank Cynthia for being here, because she shares her wonderful wit and wisdom on Quora majorly on Quora. And she is the curator of the Twin Flame. No, wait, sorry. I should edit that out, but I don't edit anything. So the 3 Waves of Volunteers, the TFJ Space on Quora.
Yeah.
And I will link that down below so that you guys can go check it out and see her wonderful writing and the articles that she creates. Thank you, Cynthia,
Yes.
so much.
Have a good night.
Bye, guys.